When you want to declare variables in JavaScript, you can use different keywords. Those keywords are var, let, and const. And according to the keyword that you are going to use, the variable is going to have a different behavior. Okay, the first keyword is var. This is an example about how to use it. This is the variable name, this is the keyword, and this is the value. And when you declare a variable using this keyword, the variable can be redeclared. That's the first characteristic. The second, the variable is going to have a global scope, and it can be used before it has been declared, and it is called hosting. It's not a good idea to use the var, because if you can use a variable before declare the variable, you are going to have a confused code. Okay, the first thing you have to do is to declare the variable, and then you can use that variable for something. And if you can redeclare the variable, you're going to have that variable declared more than one time, and that's not a good idea to have the same code many times. Okay, the second keyword is let. This example is let, name of the name of the variable and the value. And you when you use this kind of variable, you have this behavior. The variable cannot be redeclared. That's good. Must be declared before use. You are going to have an ordered code, and has block scope. Okay, you're going to be able to access that variable only inside the block it was declared. It can be, for example, a function. Next one is const. This is the example, and it is similar to let, but it has some different characteristics. And okay, the first one, it cannot be redeclared. Okay, it cannot be reassigned. It has block scope and must be assigned. Now let's check those behaviors. Okay, let's start with var, and I'm going to declare var variable using the var keyword, and I'm going to call the variable my var. Okay, I'm going to set the value. It's going to be 10, and as we saw, this variable can be redeclared. Okay, I can do this. I can redeclare that variable. Okay, 2 times, and I'm going to write that value in console. I'm going to use console.log, and I'm going to set my var sub parameter. Okay, I'm going to refresh this, and as you can see, we have the output, and the output is the value 10. Okay, and I redeclare the variable, and okay, that's not good for me, and yeah, it can be redeclared. And another characteristic is it has a global scope. Okay, to check that, I'm going to declare a function. My function is the name, and I'm going to create a an output for that variable. Okay, I'm going to change the value of the variable. Just set it to 5. And okay, this is the variable. If it has a global scope, I'm going to be able to print the output with value 5. Going to save here, going to refresh. Oops, something happened. Console, my var, the value is 5, and log in my file. Okay, forgot to call the function. Going to save, and if I refresh, okay, this is the output, the number 5. Okay, it has a global scope because I was able to access to the variable when I was when I am inside the function. Okay, and the last characteristic, the variable can be used before it has been declared. Okay, well, it means that if I move this variable after calling the function, I'm going to be able to access that variable. Okay, I'm going to refresh. Okay, if you can see, it has the value or the data type undefined. Okay, and for that reason the variable was created. If I remove this line, save, and I refresh, I'm going to get an error because the variable is not defined. Okay, now let's check the let keyword. Okay, the first characteristic is the variable can be redeclared. I'm going to declare the variable using the let keyword, my var with the value 20. I'm going to write the variable using console.log my var, and I save and I refresh this. Okay, I got the value 10. Now I'm going to try to redeclare this variable again. I'm going to save, refresh, and I get the error. My var has already been declared. Okay, that's not possible to redeclare. Now the variable must be declared before use it. It's very simple. I'm going to move this line after console.log. Just save, and I'm going to refresh, and I get a different error. Cannot access my var before initialization. Okay, and finally, it has a block scope. For example, if I enclose this variable inside a block, I'm going to get an error. My var is not defined. Okay, if I remove the block, it's possible to access it. It's the value 10. Okay, if I declare a function, my function, and I try to access the variable, I'm going to be able to access it. I forget to call the function. Okay, it's possible to access the variable from the function That's okay. And okay, if I remove this variable and then refresh, going to get the error. But if I declare the variable inside the function, I'm going to be able to access it. Okay, now let's see the const keyword. I'm going to declare the variable using const. Okay, this is my var with value 20. I'm going to get that value. I'm going to print the value console. Okay, that's okay. The value is 20, and this variable cannot be redeclared. Okay, let's try to redeclare the variable again. My var is 2, for example. Okay, I get the error. My var has already been declared. Perfect. Now another characteristic is this variable cannot be reassigned, because this is a const. If I try to reassign value to this variable, I'm going to get an error. Assignment to constant variable. Okay, it's not possible to reassign a different value. Another characteristic is it has block scope. If I enclose this variable using brackets, okay, I'm going to get the error. My var is not defined. That's okay. And the variable must be assigned. It means that it needs to have a value on the declaration. Okay, if I do this, declaring the variable without specifying the value, I'm going to get this error. Missing initializer is const declaration. Okay, it's not possible to change the entire value, but if you're working with objects like this, for example, you are going to be able to change a specific key. For example, this ID. Going to set the name. Okay, Robert, and I'm going to be able to change the ID 3, and I'm going to access to the ID. Okay, my var ID. Okay, this there is a problem here. Okay, it's ready. Okay, I changed the ID from 1 to 3. Okay, but it's not possible to change the entire object doing something like this. Okay, I'm going to change the entire object with ID with the number 3. Yeah, and I'm going to get an error because I'm trying to change the entire object, and that's not possible. That's immutable.